Discovered. Struggling woman's amazing journey from rejection to a surprising cowboy proposal. Amanda sat in the cramped living room of her small Texas home, surrounded by clutter-faded boxes bursting with memories of a life left behind. She held an old photograph of her grandfather, a stoic man dressed in a faded cowboy hat, the kind of image that made her heart ache with longing. Just as she was about to tuck the photo back in a box, something caught her eye, a faded document that told her of a ranch that had been abandoned, left to her by the very same grandfather she barely knew. Her thoughts raced like a runaway horse. Could this be the ticket to a life beyond the relentless grind of her daily struggles? The weight of her reality pressed down on her chest. Supporting her ailing son while juggling multiple jobs had become an exhausting routine. The dreams of becoming a veterinarian had dimmed under a cloud of bills and doubt. Her heart ached with the thought of having to give up on her ambitions, a betrayal against the very essence of who she was. But now, this ranch, could it be the turning point? Could it be a sanctuary for her son and a pathway back to her passion? Fear mixed with a flicker of hope, and for the first time in ages, Amanda felt the stirrings of possibility. Her dreams didn't come without risks that felt as vast and daunting as the Texas sky. The townsfolk often whispered about her background, their eyes narrowing with skepticism as they judged her worth. Many saw her as just a single mother struggling to keep her head above water, a sentiment that stung with the bitterness of rejection. What right did she have to believe in something bigger, to aspire to that veterinary school she had once longed for? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the newfound revelation about the ranch, Amanda decided to enroll in a veterinary program while also planning to restore the neglected property. Still, her stomach tightened at how she could so easily fail. The town buzzed with insidious gossip. What could a woman like her know about ranching? They would say, their voices echoing in her mind like ghostly reminders of the doubts harbored toward her ambition. As she worked on the ranch, the shadows of constant speculation lurked behind every fence post and wind-blown tree. The night before a crucial town hall meeting to present her vision, Amanda felt a crushing weight settle on her chest. Uncertainty twisted her insides, igniting a familiar sense of panic. Was she right to think she could win their respect? The stakes pressed hard against her willpower. Just then, Jake appeared, a rugged cowboy whose quiet confidence belied the disapproval they both faced. His presence was both soothing and invigorating, but Amanda was torn between gratitude and fear of vulnerability. As he knelt beside her, revealing his own history of isolation, Amanda felt a kinship she hadn't anticipated. But the road ahead loomed uncertain. Now, the final decision lay before her. The chance to defy the whispers and fight for her dreams weighed heavily against the safety of retreating into her old life, the life of quiet disillusionment. In that moment, Amanda found herself at a precipice, with everything hanging in the balance. Would she yield to the storms of doubt or step boldly into the future, a choice that belonged solely to her? The town hall was a cacophony of murmurs and wary glances as Amanda stepped into the room. Each face felt like a mirror reflecting her insecurities back at her, and she could feel the weight of their judgment pressing down. She inhaled deeply, reminding herself of the warm sunlight filtering through the trees of the ranch, the way it blanketed the rough terrain in hues of gold. That image was her steadying force, anchoring her as uncertainty threatened to swallow her whole. Amanda had spent nights awake, making notes and rehearsing her speech for the town council. Yet each time she practiced, a different wave of doubt crashed against her resolve. Now, on the brink of exposing her ambitions to a group that might not want to look beyond their perceptions, her stomach churned with uneasiness. What if they laughed? What if they rejected her out of hand simply because she dared to dream? As she approached the podium, Amanda's legs trembled, but the image of her son's bright smile bolstered her courage. The memories of their late-night talks about animals and caring for them flooded her mind, igniting a fire within her. She had to do this for him. Steadying her breath, she caught Jake's eye in the crowd, a silent reassurance ringing through the unspoken bond they shared. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm Amanda, and I want to talk about the land that once belonged to my grandfather, she began, her voice surprisingly firm. Despite the butterflies flitting about her stomach, felt a sense of purpose trickle into her words. Amanda recounted tales of how ranching was in her blood, of the cowboy legacy she never fully embraced until now, and how she envisioned a sustainable ranch that could benefit the community, a hub not only for animals, but for educational programs on veterinary science. Each word shaped her vision, weaving it into the tapestry of what she dreamed for her future. The room remained still, but she could feel the tension mounting. Were they skeptical? Was she just another naive woman dreaming too big? Then she faced the mayor, a man known for his cold scrutiny. And why should we believe someone like you can take on this responsibility? His questions sliced through the air, drawing a collective breath from the audience. Amanda's heart pounded. She could feel each heartbeat echoing the sentiment of doubt around her. Taking a step forward, she replied, "Because I am not just someone like me. I am a mother who has clawed her way through each day for my son. I have spent years working in veterinary clinics, learning as much as I can while giving back to those around me." In that moment, a shift occurred. Her passion shone through, chipping away at the barriers they had built around her. Each member of the council was a story waiting to be ignited, but it was up to her to light the spark. After her presentation, the air seemed charged with anticipation. As the council members whispered among themselves, Amanda pulled Jake aside. "What will they say?" she asked, the underlying uncertainty creeping back. "You've given them a glimpse into your heart. They can see you care. It's time to accept that you can't control their responses, only your own journey." His words resonated with her, and she realized that regardless of the outcome, she had begun to reclaim her narrative. As the council convened to discuss her proposal, Amanda's palms were sweaty, and a sense of impending fate morphed into an exhilarating thrust of growth. She was venturing into uncharted territory, both personally and professionally, challenging her long-standing fears. Then, the mayor's voice broke through the murmurs, signaling a decision arrived at the town hall that would tilt her world one way or the other. In that moment, facing him, Amanda understood that irrespective of the result, she had taken a crucial step forward into her potential leap she had long feared. But just as the mayor began to speak, the power flickered and went out, plunging the hall into darkness. A gasp rippled through the room. What was happening? Would this unforeseen challenge unravel everything she'd worked for? The darkness enveloped Amanda, amplifying the thundering pulse in her ears. The air was thick with uncertainty. She could hear the shuffle of feet, the whispered confusion among the council members. She stood frozen at the podium, her expression mirroring the fear and questioning that filled the room. Would the flickering lights symbolize the end of her vision? Her mind raced through a whirlwind of thoughts. Was this an omen, a sign that her aspirations were too bold, or merely a technical hiccup? In moments like these, she had to choose: succumb to panic or rally her inner strength. Jake's words echoed in her mind, urging her to focus on her own path rather than the fleeting reactions of others. As if guided by instinct, she declared into the void, "I believe in this vision, and that belief is strong enough to light the way." There was a brief pause, then a few curious murmurs in the dark. Amanda didn't wait for validation. Instead, she pressed on, challenging herself to transcend shadows. "I am here to create a ranch where compassion and care for animals are the highest priorities." With the commotion, a nearby window creaked open, allowing a sliver of moonlight to pour in. The ethereal glow danced across the faces of the council members, softening the tension somewhat. Amanda used the moment to breathe deeply, regaining her footing. In that fleeting glimmer of light, she saw the flicker of something she dared to hope for: curiosity. As if on cue, the power flickered back on, revealing the council's faces once more. Those who had once carried doubt now seemed contemplative, their expressions shifting from skepticism to a cautious intrigue. The mayor leaned forward, his eyes narrowed, not in disdain, but in what now resembled interest. "Thank you for your persistence, Amanda," he said, almost begrudgingly. Encouraged by the change, she leaned into her passion. "This ranch is not merely an enterprise. It's a commitment to understanding our role in the ecosystem. Imagine not just livestock, but a space for education, for nurturing the next generation of veterinarians." She glanced around the room, locking eyes with each council member, igniting the flicker of hope that had begun to wane. The mayor, still looking skeptical but no longer dismissive, sat back thoughtfully, his fingers steepled. "You have passion, I'll give you that. But passion alone does not guarantee success. What is your plan moving forward?" In this moment, Amanda felt the full weight of her aspirations crashing upon her. This question wasn't merely administrative. It was a challenge to her resolve. A suitable answer would prove her worth, so she began to outline her complex strategy, addressing potential hurdles, financial projections, and her tangible steps toward making her dream a reality. With each word she spoke, she felt the old Amanda slipping away, the one battered by doubts and fears, and glimpsed the woman she was becoming. She was no longer just the daughter of a rancher or a mother seeking stability for her child. She was crafting her own identity, one that intertwined her dreams with the realities of hard work and accountability. Finally, as her explanation drew to a close, she felt a newfound clarity within herself. It was more than a proposal, it was her life's purpose crystallizing into being. The mayor looked reassured, a careful nod indicating a shift in his stance. "We see potential here, Amanda. We'll put the proposal to a vote." Her heart soared, yet uncertainty still lingered. For the first time, she realized that regardless of what transpired, she had ignited a movement from within herself that could not be extinguished. Striding back to her son, she exchanged a hopeful glance with him, the acknowledgement of their shared journey weaving them closer together. As the council's murmurs swelled again, Amanda's gaze flicked back to the mayor, who seemed deep in thought. She couldn't shake the feeling that while tonight had been a pivotal battle, the war for her dreams had only begun. With the world shifting at her feet and more uncertainty looming, she mentally prepared herself to face whatever came next. She would reclaim her narrative, one decision at a time. But as the council began their discussions, the mayor glanced in her direction, a new atmosphere filling the room. Had he begun to see her not just as a hopeful dreamer, but as an ally? And then a shocking twist revealed itself. Another voice, one not expected, rose among the council members, calling into question not just her proposal, but everything she held dear. Amanda's heart sank as the voice broke the air like a bolt of lightning. It was Clara Reynolds, a council member known for her unwavering skepticism. Her reputation for raining on parades was well established, but Amanda couldn't prepare herself for the words that followed. "What makes you think you're the right person for this, Amanda? You're an amateur in an industry filled with experienced people. The community deserves someone who knows the ropes, not just a passionate dreamer." Each syllable felt like a dagger aimed directly at Amanda's aspirations. Silence fell over the room. Amanda's pulse quickened, and for a brief moment, doubt seeped back in her mind like an unwelcome fog pressing against her plans. She recoiled internally, grappling with the implications of Clara's challenge. This was more than a simple rejection. It was a confrontation of her very identity. Could she rise to meet this? Drawing in a steadying breath, Amanda fought the instinct to lash out, knowing that anger would only diminish her credibility. Instead, she searched within the tumult of her emotions for a voice of clarity. Taking one small step back, she recalibrated her focus to the goal that had ignited her spirit. "Clara," Amanda began, choosing her words with care, "I understand your concern. I may not have years of experience under my belt, but I have something that often outweighs that drive. The ranch isn't just about livestock. It's also about people, vision, and collaboration. She paused, locking eyes with her adversary. I aim to bring in the experts. Mentorship will be a part of the foundation of this ranch. Besides, the path to understanding goes both ways. Clara remained stony-faced, but Amanda detected a flicker of consideration. It gave her the courage to continue. I've done my homework. I've developed relationships with various professionals in our field who are eager to contribute and guide. They recognize the potential in nurturing the next wave of veterinarians and animal caretakers. My lack of extensive experience can be remedied through collaboration and learning. Fueled by this dynamic exchange, Amanda felt the corners of her mind unlocking. The fear that had once paralyzed her was transforming into a resolute confidence. It was empowering, almost electric. She glanced briefly at her son, who nodded slightly, as if to embody his silent support. Clara's eyes narrowed, as if weighing her options. But do you truly understand the workload? Running a ranch isn't just about care. It's labor-intensive and unforgiving. It requires financial acumen and an unwavering commitment, qualities that may prove difficult for a new venture. A challenge that asked for evidence not only from Amanda, but also from herself. I welcome hard work, Amanda countered, the weight of her voice finding the strength it hadn't felt before. In fact, this is where my personal journey aligns completely with my professional goals. Each obstacle I've faced while raising my son alone has toughened me for this path. I've learned resilience. I've learned to innovate in tough situations. Building this ranch is a continuation of that evolution. She felt conviction pulsating through her veins as she spoke. This was not merely about defending the ranch, but asserting her worth. Clara's lips pressed into a line, disappointment evident. You may sway a few, Amanda, but there are others whose views matter. Have you considered that there are traditionalists in our community who disagree with this endeavor? There will always be critics, Amanda said, her voice resonating with newfound authority. But my conviction is based on a desire to cultivate an educated community that respects nature. I believe that over time, understanding will pave the way for acceptance. As she concluded, the murmurs in the room had shifted. There was a palpable tension as council members absorbed her words, the divide between skepticism and hope sliding ever so slightly. The mayor's gaze sharpened, implying he was ready to pivot the conversation. Amanda felt the culmination of her efforts resting in the balance. But could she maintain her resolve? Would uncertainty rear its head again? Tonight could determine your future, Amanda, he declared. But remember, the vote is not merely a reflection of your proposal. It's a measure of how far you are willing to rise against the prevailing doubts. Are you ready for that? With myriad questions circulating in her mind, Amanda noticed that while she had begun this journey yearning for validation, what she truly sought was the courage to transform doubt into conviction. And as discussions stirred among the council, she realized that the battle was just beginning. The city had an agenda of its own, and the potential pushback from traditionalists loomed ominously, threatening to sabotage everything she had fought for. Yet one thought hammered in her consciousness: if she was to succeed, she had to prepare not only to confront adversity, but to confront the true vulnerability of following her dreams head-on. Were the stakes too high, or was this the moment she was built for? Soon, a voice called out from the back, challenging Amanda once more. But do you have what it takes to face more than just words? The heat of that confrontation ignited a new phase in her journey now. It seemed she would have to validate her vision not just with words, but with the same unwavering action she preached. Amanda felt the heat from the shadowy audience bearing down on her shoulders as she faced the new question. She had come prepared, but the undercurrent of challenge reverberated within her, amplifying her uncertainty. This was no longer merely about convincing others. It was about proving her own worth to herself. She could sense her pulse thudding in her ears, each beat a reminder to keep calm, to strategize. Do I have what it takes? She whispered internally, feeling her voice vibrate with the challenge. I have to find out. As she stood at the precipice of confrontation, Amanda knew what mattered most at this moment was her grit. Taking a deep breath, she summoned the strength from the trial she had faced. That was her foundation, her reservoir of experience unmatched by any formal background. She was not just stepping into a ring to fight for a proposal. She was embracing a calling, her calling. "I'll prove it," she declared with certainty, her voice steady and unwavering. "I'll collaborate with those who have experienced success and those who have dealt with failure. I want to learn to grow alongside this venture. My commitment is not limited to mere passion. It extends to action." Some heads turned thoughtfully, and she could see a flicker of intrigue in a few faces. Yet Clara Reynolds remained a tempest, her gaze cold and calculating. And what about when the reality of late nights and financial strain set in? Clara countered, hoping to slice through Amanda's resolve. Amanda took a moment to compose her thoughts, mentally replaying all her late nights spent with budgeting spreadsheets, the bitter taste of her failures, and the sweetness of small victories. "Clara, every late night and every financial strain I've faced while raising my son has prepared me for the challenges of running this ranch. This isn't just a dream, it's my legacy. I intend to pour myself into it." At that moment, she could hear a few murmurs of support ripple through the council. The shift in energy subtly ignited hope in her heart. This wasn't a solitary battle. Amidst the opposition, she could grasp onto the flickers of camaraderie that were forming. They didn't need to fully believe in her. They needed to see her willingness to fight against the tide. Everything worth having rests on hard work, dedication, and, yes, sometimes overcoming skepticism, she stated, eliciting a nod from the mayor, intrigued. "I want to bring experts to share their knowledge and flood this ranch with their passion, teaching the next generation to respect the land and its creatures. And while my experience may be limited, my resolve is boundless." Silence enveloped the room, giving Amanda space to breathe. Action was on the horizon, and she could almost taste it. Would they see her sincerity buried beneath layers of doubt? Could she rise from the ashes of Clara's challenges and transform them into the flames of passion that would ignite her vision? Yet another voice pierced the tension. It belonged to Mark Adams, an influential member known for aligning with traditionalists. "Amanda," he said, "you talk about this vision of education and collaboration, but what happens when the community doesn't buy into it? What if you're left powerless?" There it was, a sinister question that clawed at the edges of her self-assurance. The whispers of doubt that felt all too familiar surged once more. She could collapse under pressure, a suffocating weight reflecting her childhood fears of failure, of being unworthy, of being just another voice drowned out by consensus. But Amanda didn't find herself caving this time. "Then I will fight harder," she declared, her conviction infusing courage into her rhetoric. "I will find ways to engage them, to foster understanding no matter how long it takes. This ranch will not just be a place. It will be an experience that weathers generations, and if I fail, I will do so with grit, learning from my mistakes." A ripple of surprised recognition flowed through the audience, and Amanda's adrenaline coursed through her like a wild stallion. What had bloomed was her newfound resolution, a flourish of actions that felt necessary. The energy shifted. Clara's sharp intonation faltered as the council mulled over her words. Hope began to crystallize amidst the complexity of doubt. Amanda knew that though she had summoned a defense, the ultimate battle was just around the corner. What would it take to execute her vision? She had convinced herself, but would she have the community's backing when the time arrived to implement her strategies? The tension within the room heightened as Amanda's heart raced, pulsing with anticipation for what was to come. She glanced at each face, searching for the encouragement she so desperately needed. The mayor leaned forward. "Let us take a vote. But I need to know, Amanda, if the vote goes against you tonight, will you still pursue this ranch?" That question struck a chord, a stark reminder of everything at stake. In this moment, under the weight of her ambitions and the lingering apprehension, she realized the very heart of her journey. It was not only about the ranch, but her willingness to reaffirm her dreams time and again, regardless of the challenges ahead. With the votes cast in doubt or support, she would discover soon enough. But this much was clear: Amanda was on the verge of unleashing her true potential. The walls that confined her identity crumbling one tense syllable at a time. Was she prepared to forge ahead into uncertainty, where even the final vote could become the crucible that melted her fears into purpose? Amanda watched as the mayor summoned the votes. Each hand raised or lowered silently echoed through her mind. Doubts flitted like shadows in the corners of her thoughts, but she could feel a steely resolve hardening within her chest. Failure was not an option. Too much rode on this, from her dreams to her son's future. She could cultivate a legacy or watch it wither, but standing idle was never a choice. As the council members deliberated, her thoughts raced ahead. In this moment of reckoning, she realized an unpleasant truth. The community's faith in her was tenuous, and it would take more than just words to transform hearts and minds. She needed to develop a robust strategy to win their trust, not merely for the ranch, but for her own identity. The murmurs subsided, the mayor returning to the forefront of her vision with an expression of deep contemplation. "Let us proceed with the vote," he said. She braced herself, her heart thumping louder than before. The tension was palpable. As hands were raised, Amanda found herself lost in a cycle of introspection, her focus shifting between the faces of supporters and skeptics. The votes were tallied, and, as the mayor announced them, the result negatively impacted Amanda like a sudden gust that destabilized her footing. It felt like the wind had been knocked out of her. Dismayed, she could hardly process the weight of his words. The council had not endorsed her vision. She felt the perfect storm of disappointment and anger brewing within, a mixture that threatened to consume her resolve. Clara smirked slightly, victorious in her tactical advantage. Yet, as the initial sting of rejection washed over her, Amanda felt an ember flicker in the depths of her despair. Perhaps this setback was more than just a loss. What if it could metamorphose into a catalyst for her growth? In the days following the vote, Amanda's reflection deepened. She isolated herself on the ranch, the vast, untamed land a mirror to her unrestrained ambitions. Clarity began to dawn like the sunrise over the horizon. Where she once sought acceptance, she now understood the significance of self-acceptance. She realized emotions could be powerful motivators, but ultimately, her vision needed to be rooted in her identity and experience, not just the approval of others. This was about building something real. It wasn't her intention to merely placate Clara or the council. It was about aligning her dreams with actionable steps that could resonate with the community, because this ranch was hers. It was born from her perseverance, and it would flourish with or without their affirmation. Her plan would be multifaceted. Amanda began to sketch out a robust community engagement strategy. This plan would draw from local resources, establishing cooperative relationships with those like Mark and Clara. Her first step? A series of workshops that emphasize collaboration, education, and hands-on experience. As Amanda began building her proposal, she connected with mentors who could bolster her knowledge and experience. She sought out local farmers, educators, and ranchers willing to lend their insight. Each interaction ignited her with renewed vigor. The enthusiasm of collaboration felt like tidal waves that could wash away the skepticism. Yet, deep down, she knew she had a confrontation looming with Clara that could derail her efforts. Clara had wielded power with calculated precision, and now Amanda sensed an impending clash that could siphon her hard-earned momentum. Her resolve, however, remained firm. She wasn't breaking ground for just herself now. This was about everyone who had shared her dreams and struggles. The ranch was not merely hers, it was a testament to hope, resilience, and the collective spirit. As she worked diligently on her new strategy, anticipation bubbled beneath the surface. Would this plan stand against Clara's undercurrent of doubt? But Amanda's thoughts turned to something more disturbing. Could Clara see through her new approach? Would she attempt to undermine Amanda once again? The confrontation felt inevitable, a storm gathering on the horizon. Amanda took a deep breath, squarely facing the apprehension that shadowed her renewed ambition. She was on the brink of unveiling her vision, yet one question kept nagging at her. How far was she willing to go to commandeer her own fate? The answer awaited her in the depths of the confrontation she was about to initiate with Clara. Amanda woke early the next morning, the weight of the previous day lingering thickly in the air. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, but the promise of a new beginning shimmered just beyond the horizon, calling her to action. She brewed a strong cup of coffee, the familiar process a small comfort against the chaos that swirled in her heart. Today was the day she would confront Clara. As she stood on the porch, sipping her coffee, Amanda's gaze swept the ranch, filled with both memories and aspirations. Each corner of the landscape reminded her of past battles and triumphs, from scrappy beginnings when she had faced insurmountable odds to the present, where those foundations allowed her to think about the future. This was her sanctuary, and no shadow would dim that. Determined, she crafted a detailed presentation outlining her engagement strategy. It involved practical workshops to inform the community about sustainable farming practices, deeply rooted in transparency and celebration of their shared heritage. Amanda felt a flicker of excitement. This could be more than just a strategy. It could be the foundation from which she would reestablish her credibility. But as she made her notes, doubts crept in. Did the members of the council even care about her plan if Clara's influence overshadowed her effort? She could visualize Clara disdainfully dismissing her hard work as just another naive attempt. Amanda's mood darkened momentarily, but she pushed through the emotional haze, stronger than the fear clawing at her. The sun was fully risen when Amanda took her first steps toward Clara's office, a modest building cluttered with old promotional posters and dried flowers. On her way, she rehearsed different scenarios in her head. What if Clara scoffed at her proposal? What if she twisted Amanda's words, turning them against her? Each situation painted a vivid picture in Amanda's mind, increasing her resolve like adding a fire log to a smoldering fire. Upon arriving at the office, she steadied her breath before stepping inside. Clara's smile greeted her, cool and deliberate. "Amanda, to what do I owe the pleasure?" She purred, an edge of condescension threading through her voice. "Clara," Amanda began, blocking out the nagging voice that cautioned her to retreat, "I've been working on a community engagement strategy that I believe could benefit the ranch and the community." She unfolded her notes, projecting confidence even as her heart raced. Clara's brow raised in mild amusement, arms crossed. "And you think you have all the answers now? You've had one vote of confidence, and it didn't go well at all." The barb stung, but Amanda pressed forward. "That vote doesn't define my capability or the value of this project. I'm committed to working with the community, and I want to show you how I'm all ears," Clara interrupted, leaning against her desk, as if awaiting entertainment rather than a serious proposal. With renewed focus, Amanda laid out her plan meticulously, detailing workshops that would benefit both farmers and the broader community. These sessions will foster collaboration and education, allowing the community to feel ownership over its progress. This is about more than just me. It's about creating a space that champions growth. As Amanda spoke, she studied Clara's expression, searching for a crack in her stoic facade. For the first time, Clara's interest flickered just a moment, but enough to feed Amanda's hope. Clara finally spoke, her voice dripping with skepticism. "And why would any of them want to work with you after seeing you fail?" "This is a risk, Amanda. Risks typically go poorly." But Amanda had anticipated this, because they will see a leader who learns from rejection. "I'm willing to be vulnerable, and I believe authenticity will resonate. People respect resilience, Clara, and I'm not giving up on this community, not ever." Silence enveloped the room, and in that vacuum, uncertainty began to coil around them both. Clara's facade started to dim, and for a fleeting moment, Amanda glimpsed the shift in power dynamics. When Clara finally responded, it was with a begrudging tone, "We'll see if this new approach works." but you best prepare for my challenges. I want to make it easy. A surge of adrenaline rushed through Amanda. Clara's acknowledgement meant Amanda was on the right path, yet the threat of challenge loomed directly ahead. As she left Clara's office, determination coursed through her veins, igniting the fire that had waned after the council's rejection. But the confrontation wasn't over. The question now loomed large in her mind. How would she survive Clara's next move, and could she really uphold her commitment to the community amid rising tensions? The real battle was about to commence. The path forward would require her resolve to be stronger than ever, and she sensed Clara's next move would change everything. The sound of barn doors creaking open echoed through the crisp morning air as Amanda stepped outside, a sense of urgency filling her. Today was about more than just facing Clara. It was about laying the groundwork for what her vision could become. The sun cast long shadows across the fields, each step she took feeling heavier than the last. She needed to turn her embers of hope into a roaring flame of action. As determined as she was, uncertainty clawed at her insides. In moments of solitude, self-doubt had a way of creeping in, whispering that she wasn't up to the task. She needed allies, not just to support her, but to genuinely believe in the change she was proposing. The community hadn't seen her as a leader yet, but Amanda was about to shift the narrative. Stepping into the heart of the ranch, she surveyed her surroundings and found herself drawn to a nearby stall. Inside, an old horse named Duke nickered, ready for a morning ride. Amanda's heart warmed. She had always found solace in the gentle rhythm of riding, a forgotten comfort now calling her back. Perhaps a ride would clear her mind and provide the clarity she needed. The moment her boots met the familiar stirrup, a wave of nostalgia rushed over her. Riding felt as essential as breathing. As they moved through the fields together, Amanda contemplated her strategy. Clara might have power, but she lacked the community's trust. Amanda recalled her vision of holding workshops, sharing knowledge, showing the farmers that change was a shared endeavor, not a top-down initiative. Each gallop stirred a competitive flame within her, reigniting her determination. She pulled Duke to a halt in front of a vast expanse of land that merged into the horizon. "I can do this," she murmured, acknowledging that the struggle against Clara would not just be about convincing others, but proving herself to herself. By the time they returned to the barn, Amanda felt rejuvenated, her resolve sharpened. She knew exactly who she needed to speak with. Jeremiah, a fellow farmer and trusted friend, had also faced challenges of his own and understood the land. He knew its rhythms and its secrets. If anyone would support her idea, it would be him. "Hey, Jeremiah," she called out as she entered the storage shed. He looked up from sorting tools, his hands weathered but steady. "Amanda, good to see you. What brings you here?" "I need your help. I'm mapping out a series of workshops to empower our ranchers. I want to show everyone that we can innovate while preserving our heritage, but I need someone who understands how to get people to listen. You need to be a part of this." His brow furrowed. "You know Clara won't take this well. She'll push back harder than before." "Exactly," Amanda replied, feeling urgency rise. "That's why we can't wait. We need to shift the conversation now. If we share our knowledge, frame it as collaboration, we can build a new narrative. I can't do this alone." Jeremiah paused, studying her. Silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. But Amanda held her breath, willing him to see her vision, urging him to understand the stakes at hand. "Let me think about it," he finally said, not giving her exactly what she hoped for, but not closing the door either. As she walked away, Amanda felt both exhilarated and fearful. She had taken a step toward enlistment, but questions flooded her mind. Would Jeremiah truly join her cause, or would his hesitance mirror doubts of others? She sensed Clara's looming presence like a storm cloud on the horizon, threatening to dampen her ambitions. Squaring her shoulders, Amanda vowed not to allow fear to hold her back. She needed a solid plan if she was to face Clara's inevitable backlash. What would her next move be? This inner battle was only just beginning. Meanwhile, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Mr. Peterson, the council chair, flickered on the screen. "Let us chat soon. Important updates. A knot tightened in her stomach. What do you want? The council's interest might breathe new life into her efforts or signal another hurdle to leap over. She had to prepare for whatever lay ahead, but at that moment, all she could focus on was the growing determination to rewrite her own narrative. With her heart racing, Amanda set her sights on her aspirations and the unknown twists that lay ahead. How would she turn this momentum into the path she'd envisioned? As she formulated a strategy, she sensed Clara's next move would not only challenge her resolve, but could also position everything she stood for at risk. The stakes had never been higher. Amanda leaned against the wooden fence post, her breath steadying as she accepted the surge of adrenaline coursing through her. The message from Mr. Peterson haunted her thoughts. It wasn't merely an invitation to chat. It felt like a lifeline or a set of shackles, depending on how she chose to navigate the conversation. Duke snorted beside her, as if sensing her trepidation. She reached out to stroke his neck, grounding herself in the familiar rhythm of his heartbeat. Riding had brought her clarity, but now it was time to confront her doubts head-on. She had approached Jeremiah, but she wasn't fully prepared for Clara's calculated counteraction. Feeling a mixture of resolve and uncertainty, Amanda pulled out her phone and typed a quick response to Mr. Peterson. When and where? Almost immediately, a reply pinged back, and she felt a squirm of anticipation in her gut. The sun rose higher in the sky, heralding a new day, but Amanda could not afford to be distracted by its beauty. She needed focus. She needed a plan. As she walked back toward the barn, a thought struck her like lightning. Perhaps she could gather a small group of supporters to help her clarify her vision of brainstorming session, where ideas flowed freely and she could transform abstract thoughts into actionable steps. Yes, that was something she could control. She could lay out her framework for the workshops, integrating innovative farming practices with sustainable methods they already utilized. The workshop would be a place for shared ideas, not just her own. This way, she would invite collaboration instead of imposition. Grabbing a notepad and pen from her bag, she hastily jotted down names while her mind raced Jeremiah, of course, but also Jenna, who had a knack for engaging others with her culinary skills, and Diego, whose previous experience in local outreach could provide invaluable insight. Building a coalition with varied strengths would be pivotal in presenting a united front against Clara's skepticism. As she scribbled notes, energy coursed through her veins. But that energy was quickly met with the icy grip of doubt. Would these individuals believe in her initiative enough to rally behind her? Clara wasn't just a formidable opponent. She was a symbol of tradition that many revered. With a deep breath, Amanda pushed the doubts away and resolved to confront them directly. Regardless of Clara's reputation, she had to present the idea clearly and passionately to the group. How well could she articulate her vision? If she could convince them, she could build momentum and challenge the way Clara framed the narrative. Determination fueled her next steps. Amanda sought out Jeremiah, her earlier conversation replaying in her mind as she approached him again. I've thought about our conversation, and I have a plan, she declared, her voice steady. Really? He replied, curiosity igniting in his eyes. She could see the flicker of interest there. What did you come up with? This can't just be about resisting Clara. It has to be forward-thinking. I want to hold a workshop next week, involving others who can bring unique perspectives. Not just farmers, but people who understand how innovation works outside of our bubble. Jeremiah considered her words, the weight of this initiative heavy in the air between them. You're serious about this? Absolutely. But I need to take point on this. If anyone can get people on board, it's you. Amanda's heart raced, the gravity of asserting herself a mixture of both dread and exhilaration. She desperately needed Jeremiah to step into that leadership role alongside her. Jeremiah's gaze narrowed, assessing her sincerity. What if Clara finds out? She'll come down hard on us. I'd expect nothing less. But that's why we need to act before she does. We can preempt her narrative, Amanda countered. Let us show the ranchers that this community can evolve without losing its roots. As silence settled, Amanda's resolve hardened. Clara represented a static past, one that Amanda believed could be redefined if they could make the ranchers see the value in innovation alongside tradition. They could forge a new path. Jeremiah shifted, the tension easing from his posture. "All right, I'll help," he finally said, and in that moment, Amanda felt the spark ignite. She was no longer an island in this struggle. But just as relief washed over her, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Mr. Peterson, reminding her of their meeting later in the day. Anxiety gripped her once more. Was the council chair about to side with Clara? And if so, how would she maneuver her argument then? Amanda's confidence trembled on the brink of uncertainty. As Amanda walked toward the council meeting, her heart alternated between hope and trepidation. The formal setting felt foreign, a stark contrast to the warmth of the ranch. She had built a solid plan, but it was now time to present herself as the capable leader she had become. Recognizing that no one else would validate her vision unless she did so first, she took a deep breath and centered herself. Stepping into the council room, she was met with familiar faces. The air was thick with uncertainty, the weight of Clara's skepticism looming large. She reminded herself of why she was there. This was for the community, for her son, and most importantly, for herself. She had clawed her way to this moment through self-doubt and criticism, and today would mark a transformative step forward. "Thank you all for gathering today," Amanda began, a surprising steadiness in her voice. "I want to talk about the workshops I'm proposing to foster collaboration within our community. This isn't just about me or my ranch. It's about us working together for a shared future." As she elaborated on her ideas, vivid details danced on the page before her. The integration of innovative practices with traditional methods formed a tapestry of community and collaboration, their intertwined roots stronger than either alone. Amanda could feel the council's skepticism begin to wane, albeit slowly, and she pressed on, encouraged by the nods of a few members. She emphasized the importance of mentorship, connecting seasoned ranchers with new entrants to the business. The vision wasn't just a dream. It translated into tangible engagement strategies. She could see some expressions of intrigue flickering to life among her audience, a realization that perhaps there was merit in her proposal. When Clara interjected, Amanda's heart raced once more. "What you're suggesting sounds great, but do you truly believe you can enact this change? Without a foundation, these workshops might merely be a distraction from the real challenges: financial stability, productivity, and sustainability." But Amanda had anticipated Clara's challenge. "Indeed, Clara, that's why this plan is multifaceted. We aim to tackle each challenge head-on, bringing in local experts who can address specific financial and operational hurdles. The ranch is a microcosm of our agricultural environment. By facing challenges collectively, we empower each other to succeed." Intrigued murmurs began drifting through the room, and Amanda felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. She remained focused, grounding herself in purpose as she moved toward the conclusion of her presentation. This wasn't merely a sales pitch. It was an embodiment of her growth. Finally, after much deliberation, Mr. Peterson's voice cut through the discussion. "Let us take a vote." In that instant, the room held its breath. The stakes had never felt higher. Amanda had laid herself bare, and the outcome could cement her growth or shatter her aspirations into pieces that might take years to reconstruct. As hands were raised, each vote felt like a spark igniting her belief in her journey, both as a mother and a visionary. The results trickled in a majority supporting her initiative. Elation coursed through her like a wild river. The journey had been arduous, yet the success was measurable. Amanda had accomplished what she set out to do. She had not only transformed her vision into reality, but had done so by uniting voices that could bolster the ranch and, ultimately, the community. With gratitude swelling in her chest, she looked around, her gaze landing on her son, who beamed with pride. She had not just won a vote. She had affirmed her identity as a leader, demonstrating that perseverance and passion could indeed conquer skepticism. As the meeting adjourned, Amanda felt the warm glow of recognition enveloping her. The culmination of her journey had sparked a movement that validated her dreams, allowing her to embrace her rightful place within a community that had once doubted her. And within that moment, Amanda realized her true achievement lay in forging connections, proving to herself that she could transform doubts into a source of strength. She had become a catalyst for change. She had always yearned to be standing confidently as a mother, a rancher, and a respected member of her community. Her heart swelled with the realization that hard work, resilience, and authenticity had paved not only a pathway for a future, but had also lit the way for those who would follow. As she stepped out of the council building and into the Texas sun, Amanda knew this was just the beginning. She was ready to embrace whatever came next, empowered by the knowledge that her journey of transformation had not only been for herself, but also for her son and the generations of ranchers to come. Now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to catch the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like to feed the algorithm, making a real difference. Don't wait even one more second to comment your reactions and theories about this powerful conclusion. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes it all possible.